I'd like to go through this IGCSE ICT past paper from March of 2017 without using any WYSIWYG editor, just HTML. Okay, so we start off, open the file m17evidence.rtf, and you need to open up the zip file, and this is all the files that you should need for the exam. What I like to do is copy and paste into the project folder, which I'm calling M17 tutorial. That way you don't have to worry about accessing files that are being compressed. And I also like to view details. I'm not sure why it pops out like that. Great. So it says open m17evidence.rtf right there. Not sure why it came on the other screen. When you're submitting when you're finishing your exam, I don't know if you know this yet, but you won't actually submit the file. You're going to submit screenshots a lot, and you're going to be typing in some things as well. So be ready for that. Make sure your name, center number, and candidate number will appear on every page of your evidence document by placing these details in the header. So to access the header, it's easy just to double click up there. Name, my name is Mr. Anderson. Center number and candidate number. Just making up. You probably won't know it yet. Usually a few months before the exam is when you know your candidate number. Save this as a word process document in your work area with the file name M17evidence followed by your candidate number. For example, M17evidence 9999. Okay, so save as folder right here. M17 tutorials where I'm putting it, and then I have to make sure that my candidate number is there. Okay, that was you will need your evidence document during the examination to enter answers to questions and to place your screenshots when required. Task 2, web page. You work for Hot House Design and will develop web pages for Goa Elephant Sanctuary. Many of the people who view the web page will have very slow internet connection, so efficient markup must be used. Create a new folder called m17_html. Okay. New folder m17_html. Locate the following files and store them in your m17 HTML folder. M17 BG1 and BG2, M17 IMG1 through 8, M17 logo, and M17.css. Okay. And CSS. Really quick, you may not know how to select things out of order, because normally you drag them. If you hold Control and click, then you can select non-concatenated items, I think is how you say it. And if I wanted to select both of these at once, I could, while holding Control, press Shift, and then it'll drag it all the way down as well. So I'm going to copy all that and go back to the m17.html folder, _HTML folder, paste it in. Next up, locate the following. I did that. Task 1. Create a web page called m17ges.htm. Okay, so to create a web page without an editor, oops, it would be in here. Again, I'm not sure why, but it really likes to show the contents as thumbnails. Maybe if there's a lot of photos, it defaults to that. Anyway, to create a new web page, we need to create a new text document. And when you're creating it, make sure that you have everything selected. So you can either drag it like that and select everything, or Control A works. I prefer Control A. They wanted us to name it m17ges.htm. If you change a file name extension, the file may become unusable. Are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, I know. HTM is still text format. If you tried to rename a JPEG to HTM or TXT, that would not be good. Okay, this web page must work in all browsers and will have a table structure as shown below. Each table cell is identified with a letter and dimension, and all dimensions are in pixels. Okay, so we're going to spend some time on this. We're going to create a table. Well, first things first, we just have the HTML. We actually need to open this thing properly. I am going to use a program called Notepad++. If you install Notepad++ with most of the default settings, you should have an option like I do for Edit with Notepad++ on your context menu, right-click context menu. It's also in the menu for Open with Notepad++. Okay, so just right-click, Open with, and Notepad++. Okay. And you have a blank web page, which we need to set up. Okay, so we're typing in everything that you would normally type in on a web page. So it's called the boilerplate code. We always have doctype HTML. We always have HTML as a tag. What you may not have is, especially if you've just installed Notepad++, is when I type HTML, let me do it again, and when I finish that right arrow bracket, it automatically puts the closing tag in for me, which is really nice. If you would like that as well, go to Settings, Preferences, and Autocomplete, and then I've selected some things on autocomplete already. So the one that really matters for us right now is HTML slash XML close tag, but you could also close your curly braces and so on. I do that. And quotes. There we go. Double quotes and single quotes, that's helpful as well. Okay, so within HTML we have a head and we have a title. So I'll leave the head like that for now, and then a title tag. Oops, not title, body, apologies. The title, actually, we'll put it in if they ask us to. Body tag. Great, and so we basically have the boilerplate code, so we basically did that. So now let's do the table. The table itself, okay, so if we're going to make a table, we're going to have a table tag, like that. And the table tag, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The table has 5 rows. So it looks something like this. TR. Oh. And then there's 5 of them. The first one we're going to call A, but we have one cell, so one table division. And I'm going to just write it like this for now, where everything's kind of on the same row. You're going to see that this is not the most ideal way to continue marking up. We'll change it as we go. And then inside that table division, we have an A. So type an A there. Okay. Next one, very similar, except a B. So for now, I'm just going to copy and paste, except make that a B. Next row, we have 4 divisions, C, D, E, and F. So let's make another row. And we're going to have a division for now, and then 3 more. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 divisions, right? So that's what we needed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. And then it's C. Make sure you're putting the C in between the TD and the closing TD tag. Don't put it out in the white space or anything like that. C, and then D, and then E, and then F. Perfect. Same thing, very similar for the next row. We're down here now. G, H, I, and J. I'm ignoring the dimensions for now. We will worry about those. Let's just get the basic structure of our table set up. So this is G, H, I, and J. And then the bottom one, K, is just like the first two. So we can actually just copy one of these and paste it, make it J. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that everything looks okay. So let's put a border on this of 1. Oh, we haven't even viewed the web page. So we've done all of our editing. Make sure that you save your markup. You can come up here to save and press save or Control S. I usually just type in Control S. And then we actually need to open it up. So go back here and double click. Not sure why it's so small. Let me bring it over. And you can kind of see our table. The structure's there. We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. And a rough semblance of what the exam wants us, but we have some work to do. Table borders, letters, and dimensions shown in the table must not appear in your final web page. So by the time we're done, we're not going to have A, B, C, D all the way through. Wait, did it go to K on ours? No, I have 2 J's. K. Boom. Okay. But I'm going to leave it in for now, just so that we can see everything as we're going along. Okay, task 2. Place in cell A the image M17 logo. Well, actually, you know what? I'm ahead of myself. I think now is the time to change the dimensions. So let's go back here and make sure that cell A is 900 pixels wide and 200 pixels tall. And you do that in the division right here. So that entire cell, we'll do the width first and then the height. So width is equal to, and then in quotes, 900 pixels, px. Okay, save it, Control S, and let's go back. You can refresh, not with fire, oh yeah, so you can refresh like this, and just press the refresh reload current page. I typically just hit F5, that's to me faster. Okay, so what that did is it changed the width of cell A, but also everything underneath. We can't count on that for everything, so when you see on the exam B and K are also 900, we really should put that in the markup as well. And that'll become clear perhaps when we start working on the widths of these cells here. It's 200 pixels high as well. We're back onto cell A, so make it 200 pixels wide, high. So height equals, and then 200 px. Okay, refresh. Aha, it's pretty tall. I'm zoomed in. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, let's go to 100%. There, that's 100%. And next up, 900 by 120. So really, I can just copy and paste most of this. 120. Okay, next up, 220. Okay, so we have 4 cells here, and they have to be 225 by 225. All right, well, I can copy and paste most of this, but you're going to see real quick, having all 4 divisions on the same line matches the layout that we see here, like 1, then the next, then the next, then the next. You see we have C, then D, then E, then F. But as soon as I start pasting in width and height constraints, or markups, it's going to really start to take up a lot of space on the line, and it'll be very cluttered. So just the first division already takes up over half the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving these to their own line. Like so. And then the TR will line up with the other TR. And then copying and pasting now. I don't have to do any extra. Oop, this should be PX. Now I can copy and paste. Okay, and check the page. Just have a look. Okay, it looks pretty good. Again, C is longer than normal, and if you notice, A is not. It's 900 pixels wide, but it's not spanning the whole way. And if you remember, we actually need to use something called col span. So COLSPAN. We're spanning multiple columns. And the amount of columns is what you would put in here. Well, if you look at the design here, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4 columns that A must cross. So that's why it has to be a 4. And you're going to notice that this is going to be the same for a few others, B and K. Oops. So B will also have a col span, and K will also have a col span. Oh, I didn't do anything with K yet. K is going to actually match pretty closely. K is 60 tall, but still, it's going to match pretty closely with A. So I'm going to just copy and paste what I see here for A down here for K. And I just noticed that G, H, I, and J also have to have their own defined width. Okay, so I think let's change the height here of the bottom one, which is 60. That should be pretty quick. Boom. All right, now let's do these other guys. Again, I'm going to move these to their own they're going to have their own row. Like that. And the dimensions are very similar to the ones above it. Copy and paste. Again, that's your best friend. What happened here? I think it's a quote. Oh, I had an extra TD. Okay, so they want us to make it 225 by 100. So 225. Oh, these are 225, not 250. Rats. So this is 225. I apologize. I don't make these mistakes normally. Only when I'm under pressure. Okay, and so that's 225 by 100. So 225 by 100. Okay. Table borders, letters, and I think I already read that. Dimensions should not appear. Yeah. All right, let's have a look. Should look okay now. Oh yeah, much better. Much better. The col span's happening. The size of the cells are correct, as far as I can tell. 225, 100. Cool. Let's move on. Task 2. Place in cell A the image M17 logo.jpg. M17 logo.jpg. Well, okay, so cell A, we're going to put an image here. So instead of the A, we're going to overwrite that and use an image tag. So img source is going to be M17 logo.jpg. Close it. Okay, let's see if that showed up. We want to make sure that when we put a picture in that it actually showed up. It's like a test that we're running. And we do. We have a beautiful array of elephants from Goa Elephant Sanctuary. Next up. And also, the more of these past papers that you actually do for practicing, you're going to know that, oh, if you're going to put a logo, you're probably going to put alt text in as well. I mean, if you're putting in pictures. And sure enough, make sure appropriate text is displayed, but that's task 5. Let's do this in order. So if you're actually taking this, you probably will do it all at once because you're right there anyway. Task 3. Enter in cell B this text here. A leader in conservation and development. Watch, eat, ride, enjoy, donate, conserve, ... Now it has to match perfectly. The most mark schemes say 100% match. So if, for example, you miss a comma, or if you don't capitalize W, or if you do capitalize development, for example, that you could lose a mark for that. A leader in conservation and development, full stop. Okay, so it's going to go for and then another thing I've noticed is don't just start typing, read the whole thing. Set this text as style H1. Okay, so I want H1 first, and then, yep, in between them, leader in conservation and development. Okay. Watch, capital, eat, ride, enjoy, donate, conserve. Watch, eat, ride, enjoy, donate, conserve. Watch, eat, ride, donate, conserve, ... Make sure 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch, eat, ride, donate, conserve. Ah, I missed enjoy. See? And that could have costed a mark. Ride, comma, enjoy. Donate, conserve. Okay, let's read. Let's have a look at the page. This is on a new line, but I don't think that matters. I don't think it matters. Okay. Task 4. Using the most appropriate image from M17 IMG1 to IMG8. Place in this cell the image of a meal being cooked, image of an elephant ride, image of a jungle, and image of an envelope. Envelope, okay. Okay, so then go back to your project folder, and this is one of those cases where I don't like to view details. I need to see the pictures. So I'm going to go to view and then extra large. First things first, I think was the meal being cooked. Yes, so that's going to go in cell C. So what we have to do is we have to know what the file name is for that. Well, here's the meal, and there's the file. And the easiest, I think, way to do this is just pretend like you're going to rename it. So you can just select it and hit F2, or just click it, and it'll eventually bring it up to rename. Of course, you want everything. You want M17 IMG7 and the .jpg. So I'm going to select all, copy, and I'll, well, I'm ahead of myself a little bit. I need to do basically what I have put up here, but instead of C. So another IMG tag, and then src equals, and then M17, well, whatever we copied. So in this case, it's M17 IMG7.jpg, and close the tag. Okay, let's have a look. There it is, cooking food. The next one, elephant ride, and then jungle, and then envelope. You know, the file names here, if that's M17 IMG7, that's 3, that's 5, and that's 8. I really would rather just copy and paste, and then just change one number. Okay, so they wanted elephant, jungle, then envelope. So elephant is 3, M17 IMG 3. And then the jungle is IMG 5, and then the envelope is 8. So 5, then 8. There we go. Save it, make sure it works. Looks good. Okay. Task 5, make sure appropriate text is displayed if any image is not available. Okay, so let's do our alt text. You don't have to don't think that you have to do exactly what I'm doing for alt text. Okay, so the you need to type is alt equals, and then whatever you think is appropriate. So I'm just going to type in the Name of this company, Goa Elephant Sanctuary, I think. Goa Elephant Sanctuary. Okay. And I'm going to just copy this and paste. Of course, I don't want to keep that. I'm going to rename these. It was food. So meals. You could just type in food. I think this is, what's the next one? Elephant rides. And then the jungle. So I'll just type jungle. Maybe it's like explore the wilderness or something. Who knows? And then letter. It's just a picture of an envelope. So letter. Okay. Task 6. In cell G, enter the text local cooking, then elephant rides. Now notice the capitalization, that matters. That's how you get your marks. If everything's 100%. So local cooking for this one here. And then elephant rides, then remote jungle location. So elephant rides. And then remote jungle location. Not all caps. Be careful with your caps. Contact us. Here's the last one. So, oh. See, you got to read it all. Set all this text to style H2. All right, so H2. And of course, I'm going to get these tags. I'm just going to copy H2 opening and paste, and then cut H2 closing. That's Control X, and then paste, and paste. Check it out. Make sure that works. Looks okay. All right, H2. Step 7. In place in cell K the text page created for hothouse design by my name, center number, and candidate number. Okay. Page created for hothouse design by. Okay. Oops. Be careful with the cats. And my name is Mr. Anderson. My center number, I think, is M417. Just making it up. And then 3 zeros, I think, or 4 zeros and a 1. H3. I don't know why I forget that. You got to set it as H3. You should definitely be doing it beforehand because you have this very nice, convenient closing tag right next to it. Okay. Make sure that it looks good. Yep. Moving on. Center align the table in the browser. Yeah, because right now it's on the left side. Yeah. So it would be nice to always have it in the center. That's where for that you need to go to the table tag, and it's align equals and then center. Let's have a look. Perfect. I think now I can get rid of this border. This is a good reminder for me because they don't want you to have a border in your final. Oh, actually, we should probably define it to be 0. Maybe there's a browser out there that defaults the border to be 1, so you really need to be specific here and say, we don't want a border. Make it 0. Okay, task 9. Create a hyperlink from the image of the envelope to send an email message to this address, ges@cie.org.uk, with the subject line, book me a visit. Okay. ges@cie. Okay, so I got to actually start the mail itself, and that's actually kind of like a hyperlink. Where was it? Oh, it was around the. Of course, if it's an email, they want us to put it around the envelope. So that would be this right here. Basically, this that I'm highlighting needs to be wrapped in an image. hyperlink tag. Okay, so hyperlink. Well, that's A and then href, and this is where we start to type in what's the link to. If you want to type it to a web page, you just start typing, google.com or whatever. But if it's an email, you have to do mail to, and then a colon, and then you type in the site, GES at CIE.org. I think it's .uk as well. .uk, yep. Now, not only do they want you to have a nice handy email address link, but the subject has to match as well. Book. There has to be a subject as well, and they want it to say book space me space and visit. Okay, so you need to include the delimiter here of a question mark and subject. Same thing. We just have an equal, and then no, this is all in the same quote. Subject, and then equal, and then book me a visit, exclamation point. So book, and then space, but with the requirement for all browsers to behave, if you put it just a space here, it may not be read properly. So you need to actually use the hex code for space. Maybe you've seen it in your title bar, your address bar when you're on the internet. So you'll see a %20, and that just means space. So we need to do that a couple of times. And this won't actually show up as a %20. It's kind of like a escape sequence is what I'm thinking from coding. It's just the browser recognizes this, that the user does not want to type in %20. They actually want a space there. Okay, so I have my opening. I need to close it here, the arrow bracket. And then again, I'm going to immediately get the closing anchor tag. So I need to cut that and paste it on the other side. Because remember, I want my picture to be the thing that I click on for the hyperlink. So if I were to keep my anchor tag there would be nothing to click on, no text or anything. So I definitely want to put my closing anchor tag on the other side of that picture. Okay, test it out. F5, and yeah, there's you can see how the mouse changes over just that. I think if I click on it, I don't know if yeah, I never set up a, I have Thunderbird, but I don't set up something like this. So if you had this set up, perhaps with Outlook, it would work. It would automatically open up an email, pop up, and say, hey, we're going to send this to this guy with a subject of book me a visit, exclamation point. Yes. Okay, moving on. Task 10. Attach the style sheet M17 M17ss.css to the web page. Okay. Well, that's where we finally get to use our neglected head. Okay. So in the head, we need to let any browser know that we have a style sheet that we want to include. And the syntax for that, link, and then rel equals style sheet, and type equals text // CSS, and the href. Href is the name of the file and the location. So if it's in the same folder as your HTML document, which it almost always is, then you just need to type in the name of the file. And it was M17 ss.css. Okay, so what we should be observing is some kind of change here from the very vanilla page that we have to, something happened. We saw the elephant rides kind of move, all this stuff kind of got centered. The color of the text changed as well. Okay, Yeah, we saved it because we refreshed. The style sheet has been created but needs to be improved. Using the most efficient syntax, make sure your style sheet contains no HTML. Okay. Task 11, open and examine style sheet M17 ss.css. Great. View details M17 ss.css. Okay. The indentation leaves something to be desired here. Is that what they want us to open an exam? So we're examining right now. So we could space this a little bit better, a couple tabs in. Usually you have everything kind of lined up nicely. Maybe one tab too far in, but I'm doing that. I'm going to do that. Something like this is a little bit more clear. There's no HTML in here, so I'm not sure why they say that it should contain no HTML. Add the following to the style sheet. H1, H2, and H3 should have Corsiva Hebrew as the default font, and then if that's not available, Candera, and if neither of those are available, the browser's default sans serif. Okay, H1, H2, H3. So we have H1, H2, and H3 separately, but this should be like kind of an override. So if there's ever something that's already been defined earlier, this should override it. So for H1, H2, and H3, we have a font family. Look at the, see, the nice thing about using Notepad++ is that it kind of gives you an autocomplete. And so we can select what we want from here. If you're a slow typer, it may be faster actually for you to do that. Although I really think you should be upping your typing game if you're limited by your typing speed. Wait, font family. What was it? Corsiva something? Corsiva Hebrew. Okay, since it's two words, quotes. And then the next one, Candera. One word, so I can just type that like that. And then they wanted just a sans serif as the fallback for in case none of those are available. Okay. Okay, set the, well, let's just make sure that changed. So, make sure. Yeah, it looks different. It's definitely sans serif. But it should be Corsiva Hebrew. Not that I know what that actually looks like. Set the file that as the background image, m17bg1.jpg. Okay, so that is going to go in with body here. So we can keep the color the same, but we need to add some things. And you'll notice that if you're adding things, we need to separate them with a semicolon. Okay, so next attribute, I think is what you'd say, is the background. We're going to talk about background. See, that's like a hint. It's background and then image, right? So background image. And then you have to know it's a URL that you're typing in. And they said it's got to be named m17bg1.jpg. m17bg1.jpg. So look. Okay, definitely changed. Set this image so that it is tiled, repeated, and overrides the browser's default settings. Yep, so it's definitely tiled already, but this may just be a Firefox thing. I don't know if it's going to work in Chrome or whatever, so we need to be very explicit here. And the, well, background again, right? But we have different options here, background repeat. So background repeat, and then we want to just repeat. So nothing will change when we look at the website, but now we have a guarantee that it will look like that for all browsers. Okay, add your name, sender number, and candidate number as a comment to the bottom of your style sheet. So if we go to your style sheet, the way to add comments in CSS is actually /* and then */. So you put your comment between the two stars. And these are block comments, so you can actually use multiple lines. So it's name, Mr. Anderson, Zen form 7, and my fake. Come on. Okay. Save this style sheet in your M17 HTML folder. Well, it is in there, right? Yeah, it's there. Okay, evidence 1. Now here we go. Take a screenshot showing the content of your style sheet. Place this in your evidence document. So screenshots. Here's my style sheet. I have everything visible. If I were zoomed in and scrolled down, I would want to make sure that I have everything visible, which I don't have H1 visible. So make sure that you zoom in such a way that you have everything kind of able to be seen. Now to do screenshots, print screen, which is the button that's like above in the top right part of the F row, you can do that. If you did alt print screen, for example, alt print screen will print just the active window, not the taskbar or anything else. I want to show you a quicker way to do this, maybe a better way, not quicker perhaps, but we just want the contents. We don't want the menus up here. We don't want my taskbar down below. Windows has if you're running Windows 10, there's a tool called Snip. So if you press these 3 keys, Windows, the window key, and then Shift and then S, it'll bring up a menu that looks like this. And then you can just kind of draw a box around what you want to cut. So I'm going to take that and place it in my evidence document. And there you go. Sometimes it's very, very handy. Okay.